Hello there again, it's me again, and I have two beautiful things to show you. First is this. That there is, I'm told, a real actual person and not the figment of someone's imagination. Although I find it a little bit difficult to believe. And the second thing is, I managed to get that thing to compile. And what a struggle. Well, not only to do with getting this thing to compile, which involves the worst thing in programming, I think, which is removing code. It's a lot easier to add than to remove. I don't know if I've removed enough, or, anyway, it's not a finished product, but it does do what it's supposed to do. One of the things that happens, is actually, let me switch to release build. I can include this now to see if it builds. Is that 2 tray, which I thought was working perfectly, but it turns out it wasn't. And the reason it wasn't working perfectly is because that function that I wrote, I think it's in here. Oh, I moved all the headers up here because it keeps complaining having them in 2 places at once. I wrote a function called getApplicationIcon. Notice how it no longer takes an hwin parameter. It was supposed to convert an hwin into, to find the icon associated with an application, just a binary. So yeah, you just, given the hwin, I thought, and I don't think it's the same code anymore. Same code. It was an enum resource. It used to take an H module. That's right. Right. Now I've since realized. Right, of course. The build settings for that particular project are not set up right for this. But what I wanted to show you more was this 2 tray, which would have built 2 failed, 2 failed, warning. Whoops. I have a special thing now. It gets rid of those useless warnings for me. Okay, I gotta take that other one out so I can see what's going on. It'll probably be the one I want. The one that's failing is MTU for Dialog. Okay, I will fix it, I guess. Sorry about this. Console underscore multi-threaded Unicode. That sounds right. Oh, because it's not console, it's window. Okay, but I'm not going the only reason I brought this up was to, well, actually, it's good that I have this here now. I can run it and show you one of the things. But first, 2 tray was built, so that means I can make the installer for it. I find this faster. But I just want to show you also the installer. You can tray, and I just have a batch file T. Compiles it, run the installer. Now that's the way a program is supposed to install. Not a single question about security or do you want to do that, this or that. Animate. Now here is a program that has no window icon, but it has a program icon. And I thought I had tested it already. Now it works. Now I get its proper icon. What I was always getting was the icon of this program to tray instead. Right? And the reason for that is that function. The function get application icon, I should have realized myself. I mean, we're talking about a program that's running in a completely different memory space, right? So how could you have an H instance or H module to a program that's in a different address space? In fact, the H module that you get, previously I was getting it out of the Windows class struct. It's just 400,000 as usual, like everything else. So I would get my own icon. But of course, you know, now there's this thing that can get you a window icon. And see, I changed these to def window front. And that seems to work. You know, maybe these failed, but I haven't checked. I can get rid of the bottom two and see what happens. So I don't want to do any sending messages as long as I can avoid it. And and so like what I had at the bottom here was, okay, if all of these fail, then get application icon of hwin, right, which would give me my own application icon. And see, the idea with that 2 tray is you set the program is a window, it's not a dialog, it sets its own icon, includes something, and then let the standard handler deal with an application that has its own icon. So now how did I get around that? Well, first I looked at the help, and then I went online, and then I went to Microsoft's site, because the first thing that came up in my search, which was, you know, probably everybody in the world has searched for this, you know, hwin to, you know, convert from hwin to icon or something, program. Get the program. Get a program, something out of a program given an hwin. So basically, yeah, convert hwin to process, something like that. I should probably just look in my history. And they have what you would think is the perfect function for it. See, look, here's all my searching. And finally I found the answer on one of these dumb sites. And it wasn't even a C++ example. This is all MSDN. Okay, now here's this, right? Okay, I found extract icon. But I thought I found something before that even. Now this here makes some sense because it says the handle to the instance of the application calling the function. Okay. And that's separate from the name of the executable file. So if you knew the name of the executable file, and uint is the index of the icon that you want, then you could extract an icon using that. Well, then it just seemed like there's nothing to it after that, because the next thing I find is this function. Get window module file name. All you gotta do is pass it in a hwin and a pointer to a buffer and a size, and it'll tell you what the file name is associated with that window. The only problem is it returns your own program's name. So that's no good. It didn't work. Let's see now. Is there anything else I found? Copy icon. It looks like I struggled and struggled. Extract associated. You always need the full path of the name. You can't get the path. That's the function. And then I saved it in my help if I can't find it. And I just look, and I wind up on like code cogs or some one of these programming sites. Where is it? Maybe I went back there just to make sure. Is this it? No, because it wasn't C, it was C#. This is talking about forms, Nokia. Yeah, let me just see if this is it. No, it's not it. I haven't started reading that. Microsoft. It couldn't have had to do with form. Okay, well I know where it is. I saved it. Stack Overflow, right? Now, I don't know anything about C#, but I'm pretty sure I could think, if I look at this, and I'm pretty sure I can fill in the blanks. Get a window thread process ID. Now that function, that's an existing function in the API. So that part worked. Now this get process by ID doesn't exist. So I had to figure out how to write this function. And then once you got the process, you can do an open process, just like you do to get a process token and so on with certain rights, and request read access, and then you can extract the icon. And so that's what I did. And that's this, this. No, not that. That's the one that gets it from the window. Where did I put it? Maybe I moved it away because it's not the same. It doesn't really belong with the other group. I must have given it a name. There's new, find window, class name, text, Why don't I search for H icon? See, originally I had it in here, but it turns out that would be the worst possible place to put it. Now, this is just the one that gets your own applications icon, and that's all there is in this one. So what did I call it? Must be. It might not be here. I might have to pause just to search for it, but won't just do one global search. For that. Maybe that's it. Get window icon. No, window icons. Yes, okay, here we go. It is extract icon, I see. So I do extract icon, right? And then you get window file name. And that did work. Something of theirs didn't work. Something of Microsoft. One of their suggestions. They had a suggested solution and it failed. If window module file name, that must be working. What is it? Well, anyway, I can't find it. There's nothing in here that. I remember that I found a piece of code and I tried it and it didn't work. It was under this list, and it just wasn't working. But then I found this extract icon, which seemed like the right sort of thing. And of course, you need a file name, and then eventually I found that. Oh yeah, and then I found that, right, yeah, I needed the file name. Where's my code again? Oh, wait a minute. Now, let's see, this is my own function. No, okay, that's probably it. Yeah. See, there is a function called get window. That's it. Get window icon something. That's it. I remember now. Get window icon, something like that. Something window something. Maybe it was in the help file. That would make sense. Yeah. See, when I was looking at this just now, I thought I was calling out. They have a function called something get window something. It takes an h-wind and it gives you it's supposed to give you a file name back. And where is it? I know this seems like a waste of time, but I wasted a lot of time on it. You have to suffer. Where is that dumb thing? It's got to be my history. History. Can I sort by Microsoft? See, because that was eventually what the problem came down to. Given an h-wind, find the path to the program, right? Because I wanted to use that extract. and it looked like they had the perfect function, but it didn't. It returned the current file. And yeah, weren't we just looking at it? Let's go back a bit more. That's Facebook, Google, Gmail, Facebook, info, duplicate, H1 to file name, Pirate Bay. You can ignore that stuff. Here, there, get window module file name. That's what I was just looking at, right? And I told you that this doesn't work. And that's why I got confused there, because, see, what I did was I wrote my own version of that function that does work. Theirs doesn't. It takes an H1, just like this, and instead of returning a uint and all that, it turns it into a string. But it doesn't use this function at all. It's not a wrapper around this function at all. It's using what that Stack Overflow guy said. First, you get the window thread process associated with the H1, right? And now this is the process ID that you need. This is only the ID of the process that created that other process, like the one that started it. Now you have to this is the part that wasn't filled in the Stack Overflow bit, if you recall. Going back to that page. Got the process ID, okay. So get process by ID. Now we can get a window thread process ID, then get process by ID, and then presumably turn something called a main module into a string or something. But basically it's just your standard Windows stuff. This kind of handle, open process, you've seen before. This is a process handle, and this is something that allows you to peek into another memory space that's not your own. And to do that you call open process, and if you have sufficient rights, then you'll be able to at least read. I wouldn't be able to write anything because I have low privilege. Then, now I gotta fix all these things out, but then I just took max path because I didn't want to think about it. Then I found the remainder of the code in Microsoft. Microsoft's fail method doesn't work, okay, but this does. And it's also Microsoft. Actually, this bit of code came from one of their samples. It's weird. Once you get this process handle, then you declare something called an H module and a count of bytes required to get what they call the base name, which isn't always a path. It could just be a relative path, or just sometimes I would just get a relative path, but it's related to the file name. So now this is not like an enum, because it doesn't call back on anything. You don't have to pass any callback function in. And for some reason, after you call this, then you can call this. Now what is this retrieve? It is retrieved this magical number, whatever it stands for, H module, it's not it's nothing that translates to an H instance, I don't think. Or maybe it does. I see, yeah. Maybe this isn't 100% perfect, you know. Maybe it's only taking the first element out of what was enumerated. When you run a program, you see there are all those modules that loaded into your address space, right? One of them is the image of the executable. And that one would, I think, usually be the first one listed. So if you have handle to process H instance within that memory space, it'll tell you the file name. So that worked, and that's why that worked. Now when I got back to systman here, after hours and hours of ripping out code, I finally managed to get it to run, and I was happy enough just to get it to run. Well, I'll show you actually. It's not much running at the moment. Maybe I should start some more programs up. And that's 2 of those. We got this. Make another one of these. This is a trick I learned, by the way. I can bring this up. Oh no, I can't. Do I have any? I don't have any notepads going. I just want to make sure the list gets nice and full. And I'm skipping over the dialogue, so there's no point in me running the horses. But I could run the dots. What's that one called? Draw thing. Don't have. Don't have. Okay, well, whatever. So I'll run the program and I'll just show you. Oh, yeah. I haven't set this up for release yet. Because all the project settings were set for dynamic linking and so on. Well, I used the same list box. It's not very pretty. I didn't spend much time making it look very pretty. I'm going to work on that. But here it is. That's our thing. And this, of course, the keyboard thing. One of the things I wasn't sure would work is if you could do a scroll this way. Because I'm doing the drawing. I don't know how I've done it, but somehow I've drawn at an offset. I guess because the 0, 0 is always the same spot. Now, double click would work if I could only double click. Control. No. You see, it worked. It worked in that case. Now, this one had a problem. Because this is like the 2 tray in that it doesn't use its own icon to go in the box here. On the other hand, it's a dialog, so it can't set its own icon to the thing it wants to be shown here. So that leaves that forces the final alternative, which I knew would have come up anyway, which is to just specify the H icon exactly, not like the sys-tray manager part. Figure that out. So I added one more. Actually, I only had to add a function. I didn't have to change anything else. What happens, you see, is this thing runs. It's got its own icon. But for most of its lifetime, it's not hidden. And eventually, at some point, you see there's this thread. It starts this thread going. And I invented another enum type function. And the enum thing, what it does is, let's see that. That's another thing I haven't mentioned. A lot of things happened. For one thing, remember I said, well, that's great. All I got to do is put the HA icon into the user data area and we're done, right? But we're not done, because this guy wants to put something in the user data area too. Namely, which with the H wind is associated with that line. So what I did was extended the user data area so that you can add an extra pointer, and I turned the whole thing into a struct here. So H icon and user data. Now that means that if you fill something in here, you got to hang on to it. You can't let it die, or else that data will be garbage by the time you read it. But that's easy enough to solve. All you got to do is create a list, even though you have no use for it whatsoever, and declare one of these data things and add it to that list. And then when you add the string, you just take the element that is stored in the list. Now this thing returns a reference, not a copy. Okay, so this thing passed to the list box is the same thing, is a reference to the thing in the list box, not a copy of the thing in the list box. And so therefore it's just a pointer, and I just take the address of that when you add a string. Add string, where is that? Put that, see. I'm recalling all the things that happened as I'm going along. One of the things was I had to make this public for a while. Now it's back to private again. The reason I had to make it public was because of this measure item that had to have access to list box. But it turns out that really it properly belongs with the icon list box, so I can stay private, go back to private again, and hide all those functions I don't want people calling and expose the ones that I want them to call. Add string takes a string, and I made this a reference thing on purpose. Well, I guess pointer it says the same sort of thing, but I didn't want. There's no option to put a null. I didn't want you to put null, and I don't want a copy of anything. Right? So the reference tells you that it's not a copy, and that it's not null. And so that means it informs you that whatever you put in here is what you're going to get back out, and so you better not toss it away in the meantime. And then there's additionally a set item in case you don't have access to the add string part, and that's used by the unit test. This is used by the system. This thing. And as you can see, the icons are there and they're showing up. And they're the correct ones. And, it just works perfectly fine. This doesn't look very good right now, but I'm sure I can spruce it up a bit. Add some decor. I don't know. It's still a lot nicer than that other one. And you'll notice that I did something that I've been meaning to do for a long time. Is that the first one's automatically selected. The other one doesn't do that, and it bugs me because usually it's the first thing in the list that I want to get rid of. Anyway, so that's it. Why was I here besides that? I got sidetracked again. Oh yeah, I was just going to show you the add string. Now when you retrieve it, when a double click or something could come along, and then you just use the string as normal. But it's an owner-drawn thing, and so therefore although the code for drawing is not in this program, it's still this program's responsibility to, when a draw item message comes along, to pass that along to the special class that'll do the drawing. Otherwise you won't get anything. And everything else is exactly as normal, turns out. This is what it reduced to. Let's see now. This here we've seen. This is just the on sys message override. This hotkey stuff has to do with the desktop. I'm not going to worry about that. In fact, I put under debug registry key that I can set to just make it ignore anything to do with the shell. Now that's main dialog. So that's the main program, right? Here's the header file. That's it. That's it. It's the whole program. It's all this stuff. There's nothing left. That's just an icon, just a resource. All this is not used. So there's just this. And if you'd seen it before, you can sort of get an idea by looking at some of the code that was there before. There are about 6 copies of lists and extra lists of h-wins and lists of icons and all sorts of stuff. There are still several, as I said, there are several lists. You can see them here. There's this thing, which is a list in itself. Now this is a list of windows that once this thing becomes an icon, the list of windows that are hidden here, which is usually just 1, but sometimes 2. And now this thing, all this thing does is hang on to those pointers, so that if you just declared something on the stack and passed it into that add string, then by the time the scope leaves, you've passed a bad pointer to a global area, and when it comes back, it's going to be meaningless. So first, you got to add it to something. You could have made an array, or allocated a buffer, but that's what list does. This is like a managed malloc, right? When you add something to a list, it makes a copy using malloc of your object. And retrieval for lists is always references. You could have used a map too. See? These are all these things return references, not copies. So no copy constructing goes on in any of these calls. That's it, I guess. I mean, there's a lot more, but I just wanted to let you have a look and see this coming along good, and that I solved that problem. Oh yeah, let me just show you that thing. This is the other case where you have a dialogue, and I haven't covered this case in my thing yet. So now here's a dialogue. It has no window icon, and it also doesn't have it inside. It's inside the program. There's no icon, and in that case, this is what will happen. Here. Find it. See that? So that's the that's that famous IDI icon, application icon, just the standard one that you use for an application with no icon. So that means that now I can list all the, I could have included that in the list, and I will. Okay, I'll let you have one more look at the girl. And I just press pause. I know these videos, they don't come out as nicely on YouTube as on my screen. And I know why too. I'm not sure if I should fix it. The height of this is 768 pixels, right? And high definition is 720. So that means it has to squeeze the image together. And if you look closely, you can probably notice in the dialogue that some of the lines look nice and sharp and some look fuzzy, and that's because of the number of scan lines is less, so some of them double up, or some of them, smudge or cancel each other out, and you get those weird effects. If I made the height of the video that I upload exactly 720 pixels high, then you shouldn't see any of that. What I could do maybe is I could take my screen and or do the video and then just do the resizing on my own, and if the result is good, I'll know exactly what it'll look like up there, and if the result is good, I can upload it as is. If resizing is a bad thing, then what I could do is just, I'd have to ignore part of the screen and take off 50 pixels. So, just cut off this much. You won't get to see my recycle bin or her forehead. We'll think of something. Alright, we'll see you next time, and hopefully spruce that thing up and make a little installer for it and upload it if you want. You know that none of my installers require me to give any permission for anything in order to install, and therefore they cannot harm your system in any way. Okay, see you.